That was an intentional sound check. Gut bomb. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Hot mic. Psst. Good morning. So you caught my hot mic. My mic is hot. I'm monitoring because I've had so many sound problems lately. So I'm assuming you can hear me. And it looks like you can. Good morning, everybody. So, past Eric thought it would be a great idea to get up early on a Saturday morning and start live streaming at 9 a.m. So this morning's Eric is still consuming coffee. And I'm not going to slurp it like a certain YouTube celebrity does, because I don't really find it all that intriguing to hear somebody slurp their drink. I'm not going to bother naming the YouTuber, but there you are. So anyway, it's Macintosh. And Macintosh is that magical time of the year where we celebrate all things Macintosh. And for some of us, Macintosh is a year-round event. So, but we pay homage and have a particular focus on Macintosh equipment and anything vintage. And as far as I'm concerned, that's anything Apple's not supporting. So even a 5-year-old laptop is considered vintage as far as I'm concerned. So, all right, well, since I only have the one microphone, bear with me while I switch over to the bench. So are the audio levels okay? Because, you wouldn't want to miss hearing me. And my Saturday morning not enough sleep voice. Okay, let's see. Who do we have in the chat? What did I do with my mouse? Here's my mouse. Yeah, I apologize in advance for the sniffles. I had a cold a couple of weeks ago. Apparently, I still haven't gotten rid of it. Or it's just early Saturday morning stuff. Okay, thank you, Trina. I think you're fine too, Trina. Oh, you just mean my sound level. Okay. So who do we got? Dave's Vintage Apple Tech. Good morning, Dave. We have Eric's Edge. Oh, that's right. I replied to Dave. Sloopy Malibu. If you want to see anything about Coco, the color computer, and it sounds like a clown's name. Sorry, I can't help it. But Coco Nation is something Sloopy's into. So if you're into that 8-bit madness, look him up. And Gut Bomb also live streams, and I would have tested his latest device. It's a external drive for the Commodore 64, except I can't find my frickin' power supply. That's as close as we're going to get to swearing today, hopefully. Let's see, who else do we have? We have Frank S. And Trina's Technobabble, as I said. Retro Mac UK. Good morning. How are you? Big Bad Biologist, Big Bad Bench. Please tune in at noon for BBB. He's going to be doing something that is not, what was the phrase? Janky. Totally not janky. It won't be janky at all. Believe it if I see it. Who else do we have? Microbiologist. Good morning. See, Trina is infecting me. Micro hobbyist, not microbiologist. Jamie's Hack Shack. Welcome. And is there anybody I missed? Nope, I think I got it all. All right. Let's move this mouse aside. And we're going to switch to... Sorry, wrong button. Still getting used to things. So what you're looking at here is a microscopic view of a instructional guide. Now, actually, let me talk about that for a second. So, if you've recapped a board before, a logic board or a power supply, you're going to need a guide. And there are several places you can go get them. One is Steve, my friend Steve, Mac84, like and subscribe, has guides for various things, including power supplies. So you could look him up, and here's the power supply that I have for this LC2 I'm going to recap. And he's got a nice photographic guide that you can print out, and all color-coded and everything. So hopefully the model and revision that I have matches the recap kit I've got. So if it doesn't, then I'll end up having to get replacement parts. Let's see what else we got here. So the other site that you can go to for information on recapping is Recap a Mac, Brackus Creations. And he's a dude that lives down under, and he's got extensive videos he's done on recapping. It's where I learned how to recap. I do have a particular technique I use that's not very popular, but I don't have an air station, a hot air station. So it's my method. But he has recapping guides as well. And I printed that out. So I have not looked to verify the caps match the guides or the board yet. So that's the first thing we're going to do this morning. Recapping is not very exciting, but it is a necessary evil that we all have to do in the retro community. So I hope you guys will bear with me. So let's switch back. Okay. Let's take a look at what we got here. So these are the kits that I got from Console 5. Console 5 actually is located within like 5 miles of me. I still just did the mail order thing. I haven't contacted them to see if I could save, you know, $6 on shipping by just picking them up. Something I intend to do when I get around to it. So let's see if there are any comments. One of the things I have to do periodically when I'm doing these things is watch to see if Steve or anybody is trying to yell and scream at me, don't do it, don't do it. Because I am a bit of a novice when it comes to this stuff. So, oh come on, where is the mouse? There it is. So, let's see. Big Bad Biologist, Big Bad Bench. That's a mouthful, by the way. Recapping is always exciting, particularly when you go... why do they put these icons here? Go power the system back up for the first time. Yes. I don't want to release the magic smoke, so I'm going to be very careful and plotting when it comes to doing this today. Retro Mac UK, thank God for the Atlantic Ocean. Oh, do I use the tear off caps with my teeth technique? No, actually I like to decapitate the capacitors. So I use my favorite tool and cut them off. So I think it causes the least amount of stress. I've tried doing the, unsolder each side interchangeably, going back and forth method. One, it takes a long time. Two, I owe it, when I do that, I lift a trace. I would never try the twist off technique. I don't do the twist. I'm not very coordinated. So, that was my prior generation's music. Believe it or not, I'm not that old. So, hot air station is a good option. It's probably the easiest, best way to do it. But I don't have one. And my phone is going off. I apologize. Let me check and make sure this isn't critical. Nope, it's just about medication. I can ignore it. Okay, that's taken care of. Techniques. So, a hot air gun is good, but, or a hot air station, I should say, not a gun. But sometimes your caps can be right next to electric or plastic components, and you have to shield it. So, here's a cap. It's not really too close to it, but this is plastic, and it can melt. And so sometimes, you do have to use alternative techniques for removing caps. There are also little tweezer-like heating elements that you can use to go in there and heat both sides of the cap leads and pull it off so that you're doing it at the same time. I don't have those. They look fiddly to me. So, anyway, so let's get started. Oh yeah, and I have a bonus. When I was looking for the power supply for my Commodore 64, I found a floppy drive that has a bad motivator, and I happen to have a bad floppy drive where the eject motor works, so I'm going to pull it out, replace it. Maybe I'll I don't know if I lubricated this one. It looks pretty clean, so I may not have to do anything else. So that'll be a bonus if we got time. So here is the logic board that I have. I need to remove a couple of chips because, the RAM and stuff, because I don't want to bump into that while I'm recapping. So I'm sorry you're not going to be able to see this because of the... Well, I could switch, actually. I'll switch to the bench cam. So you should be able to see this now. So I'm going to remove a couple of these. This is at least this one's got the metal clips on it. Oh, I hate these things. Here we go. Oh, it goes that way, that's why. So I guess it'd be easier to do it this way. So I can get my fat fingers in there. So this is probably, I don't know, is this VRAM? It says SIM card. So it's a simulated card. I don't know what it is. Somebody tell me in the chat, what's the SIM chip for? And then this is RAM. RAM stands for Random Access Memory. So there, like I said, there's a lot of guides for recapping out there from people that have a lot more experience than I do, and you know, but I can do it. So Console 5 sends you chips, or excuse me, tantalum capacitors in these little packages, so you don't, they're not just loose. So that keeps it maintained well. This is the power supply recap kit. So you've got some big chunky caps in there. So, but we're going to do the logic board first. I have not cleaned this board. It is something that I need to do. I kind of ran out of time. I usually would wash it off and everything before recapping, but it's not too bad. It's a little dusty. I'm going to recap it and then I'll wash it. So sometimes if you're trying to fix boards, you don't want to wash them first because you want to be able to see where the cap juice is and things like that. But this board's actually in really good shape. So anyway, let's switch back to the microscope. Okay. I guess I'm going to stand up to do this today. So first thing to do is to sort out with the guide which caps you're doing. So this is Bruce's guide. It's a high resolution image of the board with everything labeled, which is nice. So first thing you want to do is confirm that you've got the same board. So this is an LC2, and we look, and this is an LC2, and then you want to look and see if the caps correspond. So there should be two caps on the edge here. There are two caps on the edge, and it's labeled. So this is a 16 volt 10, and if you look here, we have a 16 volt 10. This one is upside down, so it makes it hard to read. Sorry. This one is a 50 volt 1, and we have a 50 volt 1. That's like microfarad, I think. Farad was a dude's name. He was all about capacitance, I guess. A lot of old white dudes. Kind of like presidents. Let's see what else we got. So that's two of those caps. Let's check some on the other end of the board. There's a cap. 16 volt 47 microfarad is like the most common cap you're going to get. And right there it is. And we should have another one, two more down here. And we do. And then there's a whole slew of them right here. Yeah, the board is a little dusty. Also, what the heck's going on here? That is crufty. That chip's a little crufty. Those leads are crufty. I mean, it boots, everything's fine with it, but it makes you wonder what's going on in this spot. And what are those pads for? Did I lose something? Let's look at the picture. Nope, it's empty here too. So I wonder what that was for. Some kind of revision. It's like, oh, we designed it to have this feature, but this is a cheap ass board, so we're going to remove it and never populate that. Who knows? Anyway, so it is a little crufty. That needs to be cleaned. I do not have an ultrasonic cleaner. Another thing on my bucket list, but I think I probably need to have a hot air station before I bother with a ultrasonic cleaner. So anyway, And of course it's populated underneath on the other side with resistor packs and various things. So these are all surface mount components. So let's get started. I got to turn on the my Weller soldering iron that has variable heat settings with no readout, so you don't know what temperature you're actually dealing with. That's lovely. Another thing on my bucket list. Oh, so let's get that promotional stuff out of the way. I do have a Patreon if you care to do that. I also have a Ko-fi. So if anybody wants to contribute towards equipment and things like that, the Patreon pretty much goes in one way and out the other, because I support other channels as well. And that's, I think, actually, I'm probably sending out more than I'm receiving on Patreon. But it's important to support people on this. I've learned an awful lot from people, and that's one way of showing your appreciation for their knowledge and efforts. But the things like the microscope that I'm using, it's a budget one. It was almost $200, so it wasn't the cheapest option out there. Is something that I purchased through the proceeds of others. You know, people gave me donations to get that. So all the donations I get go right back into the channel. Anyway, let's get that out of the way. So I need to go through this package and make sure that I actually have all the caps I need. There is a nice list here at the bottom of the caps. So let's open up this package and be careful not to spill it out onto the floor. So I was doing some work last weekend where I had to insert pins into a DB19 3D printed connector, and was carefully carrying the thing over and ran into my microphone with it and dropped them all over the floor. It took me about 20 minutes to find them all. So that was fun. But I did find them all. I do have other, like DB25 connectors and stuff I could have dismantled and salvaged pins from, so it wouldn't have been a great loss, but it still was very annoying to be moving something like that and then spill it. So LC2s is the most fun recap because there's 17 of them. Yeah, there is quite a few caps on here. Have you ever done a it's not, what is it, the G5 iMac? It's got a gazillion caps in it. Not that it's worth doing. Anyway, so let's check and see if we have all the caps we need. The great thing about the microscope too is that I can actually read what these are. So let's flip this over. And what is it? These are the 47. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 of them. All right, confirmed. And then, and these tantalum caps are a good replacement for electrolytic caps. They will fail, and they tend to mess things up when they do, but they have a lot better, they're a lot more stable because they're solid. And wow, look how tiny those are. I may have to bring this up closer. Man, those are tiny. Are those the 10s? Well, there's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them. So these are the 10 microfarad ones. Tiny, tiny, tiny. And then there's a couple more. Focus. Man, fingers are ugly when you look at them under a microscope. So this is the 50 volt. And that must be 1 microfarad. Okay, so that goes here. And this one is the 10. Oh no, it's 100, not 10. Sorry. You know, why can't they just label them so that it's obvious what they are? So I'm going to have to double check to make sure I'm doing this right. I'd hate to put the wrong cap on. You know, if somebody is more familiar with the thing here and can tell me if I've got this right, I would appreciate it. So that should be the 10. This is the 5. So what I need to know, is this the 100 microfarad or is that the 100 microfarad? I'm pretty sure since this is a 50 volt and this, oh, geez, these things are tiny. Pick it up, Eric. You can do it. I mean, one way I could tell is by where it's replacing, because obviously these have different length leads too. But I hate assuming. So, where does the 100 microfarad go? Oh, it goes way over there, next to the connector. Okay. So that's the 100 microfarad. So it's rather large. So this must be the 100 microfarad. I believe the 7 means 7 zeros and the 5 means 5 zeros, so the smaller one is the 1 microfarad, I think. I think you're right too, because there's no way that the 1 is going to fit where this one goes. Well, it's the 100, so this must be the 100. What I really should do is look up the part. So where's the 1 microfarad? That goes all the way. That's where this tiny cap is right here. Sorry, can't see that. So that must be where that goes. There's no way that you could physically put that larger or the smaller one where the large one goes. So, all right, we're gonna go with it. I don't see anyone screaming, "No, no, that's not the right one." Okay. So now to watch the, let me get these caps into a little container and off the paper so I don't throw them around. Let's focus the camera. Okay. So this is the horror. I'm going to do this this tiny one first of the technique I use for decapping. So I put my finger over it. Basically what I do is I stick these nippers onto the cap, put my finger over it to keep it from moving, and then just take the top of it off. So it doesn't disturb the pads very much at all. You can see where it's exposed the 2 leads. And then what you can do is just kind of disassemble it. You can see how that, you can just take it off from the top down. You've got these 2 little nubbins, I guess. You can cut off the top of the lead that's coming up from the board. And you want to make sure it doesn't just take off somewhere. You don't want to have little random bits of metal all over your board. Okay, I didn't quite get that one. Okay. Then the base will just lift right off like so. Now what you're left with is where the posts, and you can feel them with your finger, are still soldered to the board. And you put some nice little flux on it, get it all lubed up. And where's my solder wick? I got some solder wick here. Oh, I love this solder wick. So I bought a box from an auction that had a bunch of old discrete components. No, that's not the right one. Trina, are you being serious? Oh, okay. Anyway, Archer was a brand that was sold by Radio Shack. And so this is very vintage solder braid. It's what the old timers used. It's just solder braid. There's nothing special about it. Then I take the solder braid, my soldering iron, and you'll see that the rest of the leads have come off. And I'm having a hard time doing this. This microscope is great, but it's not binocular. Oh, there's a little piece of plastic left over from the, let me get my tweezers out. Sorry about the Velcro ASMR. If you haven't seen it, and you don't have an iFixit kit, you might want to, if you want to save some dollars, this Harbor Freight Quinn kit is nice. It's got all the tools of the standard iFixit kit for half the cost. So we got a little piece of plastic left from the cap. And pull off that lead. So obviously with an air station, you're not going to have pieces of caps that are left over. So that's why it is the preferred method. It's quicker, but I would never twist. Get this back over here. I'm right-handed, obviously. Clean this up a little bit. But the pads are intact. Nothing got messed up. Bob's your uncle. Yeah, I'm not 100% happy with this flux. It was, oh, you can't even read it anymore. It was the Special 88. It's a flux that Bruce was testing out, and I guess there's a whole story behind that. Somebody was copying the formula. So this is a little bit crusty because and yucky because I did not clean the board first. So, but this flux does leave a sticky residue that you have to wash off. So a little bit of alcohol will take care of that. Where is my alcohol? So we're just going to go ahead and put some on a Q-tip. And clean that up. So there's that lovely crud. There you go. It's pretty clean. Anyway, that's what I do. Trina, I like when you lube my nubbins with your tongue. Gut bomb. Okay. I guess it's that kind of a stream today. Right, so that's the 1 microfarad. That's this cap. Now I know that a lot of people just take them all off and then put them back on, but I kind of like to take one off and then replace, so that I keep track of what I'm doing. But I think it's safe enough. This guide appears to be correct, so we'll just decapitate. So let's see. Which one should be next? Well, I think this one is the next logical one to go. So again, I just somewhere on the cap, take it off. Sometimes the plastic bit just breaks when you do that. This is not in very good focus, is it? Put a little flux on there. You can tell I don't have a very practiced hand at this. I'm going pretty slow, but you know, it's good enough for me. This one's being a little difficult. There it goes. Dirty board, very dirty board. Okay, so I'll have to be cleaned up. But there you go. There, 2 down. Only 13 gazillion more to go. So I think I'm going to approach this one from here. You know, so cutting them tends to squeeze them a little bit, gets them out of round, and sometimes they take a little bit of effort to get off then. You know, you can also dab some solder on here if it doesn't want to come off. Sometimes putting new solder on helps. But you do want to make sure you don't lose track of these bits of metal. You don't want them left on the board. So here's the other one. What does the snipped cap looks like? Oh, okay. Well, here we'll slide over and show you the graveyard. So it's just a can with some leads going in it, and there's black goopy stuff in there. I think these are supposed to be rolled up paper with the capacitor, yummy capacitor juice in it. The electrolytic fluid. So that's what it looks like. And then this is the plastic base. So what happens is, it's just a can with fluid in it. They tend to leak eventually, and we all know that there was a capacitor plague for a period of time where the main manufacturer for electrolytic capacitors was selling bad caps. So all caps, even good ones, eventually, electrolytic ones, will eventually die. But there was a 10-year period of time where there were a lot of those bad caps sold. So those leads will have to be cleaned up a little bit with some braid before I put the new one on. So again, I try to get it towards the bottom. You could try to cut right at the bottom, but I don't want it to. See, that one didn't cut very clean. There we go. Maybe I could have cut that one a little lower. Yep, see, I'm twisting it. I don't want to twist. Yeah, I should have done that one lower. So we'll just snip a little more off. There we go. Gosh, I could probably, that's long enough, I could just hold it with the tweezers and do it. Maybe. No, that doesn't seem to work. There we go. Yeah, that is pretty juicy down there, isn't it? one's getting kind of crufty. Yeah, this board is dirty. It's dirtier than I thought it was. Yeah, I'm going to do the PSU too. Although, maybe not today. I'm not going to live stream for 4 hours while I do this. You know, frankly, it's not, I am not very good at multitasking. So talking about what I'm doing and doing it at the same time, especially programming, I mean, probably the dullest thing to do is to watch me program, because I sit there and think for a while. It's not exactly exciting visually. So. But yes, I went ahead and bought the kit for the PSU 2 because I want to make sure that the entire thing is as functional as possible. And honestly, I don't buy that much equipment that requires repair. I've been pretty fortunate. I had this LC2 is from a guy's hoard. He had a whole bunch of stuff that he had picked up, but he hadn't really done anything with it. And he was trying to sell a laser printer, and I was watching it, go from 200 to 100 to eventually got down to $60, and I'm like, well, I'm going to contact him and see how much he really wants for it. And I don't really need a laser printer, but I thought, hey, why not? Cartridges, sorry about the noise. Cartridges tend to be a little expensive for him. It was like $120 to get a replacement cartridge. So I was talking to him, and I noticed a trend. He'd been posting stuff periodically for a while. And I thought, well, maybe he's trying to downsize. So I talked to him about it, and he says, yeah, I'm going to be moving. I really need to get rid of some of this stuff. He said, I tell you what, if you accept and take all of this stuff in a list, you can have it for $60. And it had a half dozen laptops, a Mac SE, analog board for an SE30, about, I think there are 5 G4s, G3s, the plastic ones, the tower cases with the plastic handle, that look kind of cool. What else was there? The laser printer, one of the G4 lamp computers. If you want to see me messing around with one of those, there's a series of videos where I totally screwed it up. I opened up the arm, the neck that holds it. That was a mistake. I should have left it alone. Anyway, so I went and met him at a storage place where he had all this stuff, and I got everything for $60. So it was a really good deal. He does have on Marketplace a bunch of the, they came in different colors. I think they're G5s. The tangerine, the blue, or Bondi, whatever it is, that he's trying to get rid of. But honestly, I don't have enough space for it, and I don't really have that much of an interest in those machines. So, but if someone really wants one, he wanted $100, no keyboard or mouse. I thought that was a bit much. Those things have a tendency, I think, to have the Now see, that's nice. Sometimes it picks up the old lead off of the solder braid like that, so it makes it really easy to pick up. But then you got to worry about dropping it back down. Anyway, so he's got them without keyboards or mice, and the flybacks tend to die on those things. So I had told him I'd be interested in anything that could run HyperCard. So that's a good way of identifying the stuff that I care about. So it was a good deal. So I don't mind spending the money on this LC2. It's kind of neat. I was never able to afford to buy any of this stuff when it came out. And I just kind of like the form factor of the pizza box. It's kind of a cool thing. So, okay. That one could use a bit more, I think. All right. I did tell him if he had a tangerine with the, if he found the keyboard and the puck mouse, because he said he might have some of those, that I might be interested in that. But he also said he had a box full of cables and things. Boy, the focus on this thing is just not quite there. Anyway. He does have a ruby red. And it looks okay. I think it's got a cracked handle. Other than that, it looks good. But those things are precarious to ship. I talked to Garth about it, and it really is just a local purchase only kind of a machine. If someone wants it and they want to spend the $100 for it, I'll pick it up and take it to VCF Midwest with me, so that you could get it there. But I really don't think you want it shipped. Okay, so next. Oops. So, sometimes you have to cut the nubs off to be able to get it apart, and sometimes you can cut low enough they just come off. So well, look at that tiny little resistor. Oh no, that's not a resistor. That's a transistor. 3 leads. Okay. Yeah, I think I should trim off the solder braid a bit. Now, what will I do when I use up my Archer solder braid? I'm going to have to buy that modern stuff. like I said, this is not very exciting. Get off there. Yeah, this flux is a little sticky, but I've got 2 tubes of it, and I'm most of the way through the first tube, so I'll just use it until it's gone. I mean, it works, and then I'll buy something else. You know, I'm not going to do a retrospective on flux like Bruce did. I mean, he's already done it, so why should I? Let's get another Q-tip. And the stuff's expensive enough that I'm not just going to toss it out. I mean, it still works. It might not be my favorite, but I'm also a very cheap person. I don't like spending money unnecessarily. Okay. So what's going on in the chat? Is anyone even watching? So, oh, let me get my mouse. Where did I put it? There it is. Do I have any plans for the SE30 analog board? Other than having a spare part? Not really. I do have an SE30 that I finally got. I had one 20 years ago, and it got a checkerboard pattern, and I didn't know anything about how to fix them back then, so I threw it out, like a lot of people did. But I finally did get one. Some guy in a local town tried to repair it, and there were some bad traces on it, and Will K-Mac Vintage, he offered to fix it for me for the price of shipping it to him, so I sent it to him, and he was able to get the original board to work. There was only a few things wrong with it, but he still offered to do a reloaded board for me, which is awesome, because I don't just collect the machine and put it on the shelf. If I'm not going to use it, I eventually get rid of it and pass it on to somebody else who can. And so I use the computers. And with the SE30, I plan on doing some HyperCard development using it and some various other things. It's kind of the holy grail for that kind of a Mac. So until I get everything built, I'm going to hang on to it just to make sure I don't need it. But if somebody needs an SE30 analog board and I eventually don't need it, I'd be willing to either trade or sell. Bianca just walked into my office with her Christmas wish list. That's what I call planning ahead. One item on the list, a corgi. Oh, God. My sister had a corgi. Loved the dog, but oh my God, was it a lot of work. So what else? If I have time, could I continue on the Sunday stream? Sure. I'll have to check with She Who Must Be Obeyed. But yeah, I think we have plans. Excuse me. We do have plans tonight. And then next weekend on Saturday. But I don't think there's anything planned for tomorrow. I'll have to check. Have I looked into programming in Rust at all? I read about it. and briefly looked into it and went, I'm not interested enough to do this. So I didn't have a problem to solve, and I'm very much a programmer where I need a project of some kind. I had briefly looked into doing mobile development during the period where HTML5 started getting hot, and my God, the number of frameworks that came out around that just floored me. I couldn't keep up. Started going down Angular as a framework, and that's about the time I went into management and said, I'm done. I'm done doing that kind of programming. So, no, I haven't looked into it. Yeah, these caps didn't appear to be leaking, but, you know, they're gonna eventually. So... Yeah, the tweezers don't seem to be quite strong enough to pull these apart. Or at least the tweezers I'm using. I do understand Rust is one of the languages / frameworks that is useful to learn, but my modern coding days are basically done. Not something that interests me anymore. At least until I find a problem that needs to be solved. Okay, that's not working. I need the braid. Oh, I picked it right up. Okay, that one's... Yeah, this flux is making more of a mess than anything is. Yeah, see, there's that little bit of metal. Don't want that. I'd say that's the biggest criticism I have for this technique, is that you can end up with little bits of metal that you don't intend on leaving on the board. So but you notice I haven't destroyed a trace yet, or excuse me, a pad, so it does have that benefit. It can be a little difficult to get the nippers in there. That one's a chunky one. Yeah, see, look at that. That looks a little corroded to me. I could get it in focus. Yeah, that's definitely showing signs. So. That's definitely got some crud on it. So I would say this definitely needed a recap. Yes, I do have some deoxit. That's a good idea. I should try that. Oh, let's put some flux on there. Yeah, after doing this many of these, I really should invest in an air station, because it would be easier, I have to admit. Look at that goo. So what do people have planned for this weekend? Yeah, that's pretty sloppy still. Let's get a little more alcohol on there. You know, I saw Steve had this nice little squeeze bottle thing that had a well on top for alcohol, so that he didn't have to tip anything. He could just dip into it. So that looks suspiciously like I still have a lead sitting there. I should get one of those things like Steve has. I suppose that could just be some solder. I guess that was just a blob of solder. It's a little cleaner though. So Trina, you're gonna watch BBB jank something up, then stream at 2:30 p.m. yourself and show John how computer work is done. Awesome. Trina, why don't you post a link to your stream if you've got it? That goes for anyone else. If you're not a moderator, I'll make you one so you can post. Retro Techie may stream at 2:30 today. Good. You guys can battle each other. Okay. Slowly, slowly we remove the caps. Now see that one actually, see how it wiggles a little bit? That's why I'm putting my thumb over it to try to minimize the movement. With these bigger caps, you are going to move the leads a little bit because you're squeezing the entire thing to get it cut. You know, and this one's at the limit of these nippers. So it's not an ideal technique, but like I said, it's, you know, that one's crufty too. It is my preferred method, given the equipment I have. My eldest daughter also does a little bit of retro computing. It's mostly game console stuff from when she was growing up, and she's modded a few DS's, Game Boy stuff. I forget which DS it is that's got the dual screen, and there are mods where you can remove one of the screens and make it more of a small handheld. She's done that, and there's mods that you can add to it, like if you remove the top screen, you lose the amplifier for the sound. So there is a mod that you can solder to the board that gives you back that amplification. It is really small and tiny and tedious, and she was excited when I got the microscope so that she could try to do that. But she hasn't really done anything lately. Right now she's in Japan. She learned Japanese as a young person and also took it in college as well. And she likes Japanese culture. She started with manga, whereas I like to tease her and say manga because that's the incorrect pronunciation of it. You know, it's a dad thing. But she's, you know, she's grown to like the culture, and she spent a few months of college there, really enjoyed it, but has since gone back this year with a friend, and they're spending 2 weeks in Japan, mostly in the Tokyo area. She does want to spend some time in the north, but hasn't. This time they, you know, because she's going with a friend, they kind of decided to on an itinerary together, and he wanted to see more of Tokyo. So that's what she's doing. And having a wonderful time. So that's one of the reasons why she decided to stay home and live with her mother and I, is so that she could bank money instead of spending it on housing. And I'm all in support of that. There we go. Because when you're that young, it's your only opportunity to make bank, really. Yeah, we really enjoy having her live with us. She also works in the same office I do, which is kind of convenient. We carpool together. Yeah, it can be a love-hate thing with your kids, but you know, she's turned into a much better adult than I ever did. And I love giving her the opportunity to do all the things I didn't do, like be responsible and actually contribute to a 401k in a timely manner and prepare for retirement and all of those things that we're all supposed to be doing, and for various economic reasons didn't, or you know, stuff happens. So any opportunity that I can provide so that she can avoid those problems, I'm all for. Besides, when I'm old, and old's not a dirty word, but when I get older, she's told me that she has no intention of getting married, and she wouldn't mind just living with us for the rest of the time that we can, and I'm all for that too. So, well, eventually I may just have a single room parent apartment where she's living. Who knows? The reality is that I'm going to be working until I'm dead, probably. As many of us will. And I think extended families are awesome. Especially when you all get along. I mean, the Waltons may have been a fictitious TV series, but you know, in a lot of ways they were doing it the right way. And I hope I'm as salty as Grandpa. Actually, Grandma Walton was a little saltier, I think. Okay. So these caps are actually looking a little juicier than I thought they were. Good night, John Boy. But who knows what the future will bring? Some of the chips in this area are kind of crusty. is a lot of caps on this board. I'm just going to use that to help me solder it off. My youngest daughter couldn't wait to get out of the house, which is perfectly fine. I also couldn't wait to move out from my parents. And she lives in Virginia and has a job with a credit union and loves it. And we don't get to see her very often because, you know, it's expensive to travel around. But we did see her recently, and she's doing just fine. So, you know. And that is it for FrodoJedi. Good morning, everything is broken garage. Everything is broken garage. Lives in the Great White North. And it is still very much the Great White North right now. And Michigan gets pretty snowy where I live, but we've hardly had any this year. Certainly nowhere near what the precipitation that they have had. Oh, come on. Okay, you're going to be stubborn. We'll plow you off. Oh, come on. I appear to be a little shaky this morning. Maybe I need more coffee. It does not want to come free. Ow. Fire hot. Juicy, juicy, crusty stuff. This is the most solder braid I've used in quite a while. You know, maybe this is a case where I need to use a little bit of new solder. There it goes. That came off. Let's see if this is clean. I've gone through 4 Q-tips so far. So when I started this, I said the board was pretty clean. Not so much. But we haven't torn off a pad yet, so I'm pretty happy so far. watch Steve and Bruce do this, and it looks so smooth and so easy. And then you watch me do it, and it's like, takes twice as long, 4 times as long. And I'm shaky, etc. But it's just the way it is. Okay, only one more to go over here, and then there's 3 on the other side. I think what I'll do is start putting the caps on after I get this one off. The tip of this is filthy. There's no way to do an LC2 quickly. Yeah. At least it's not a 840 AV, right? I think after watching Steve deal with his, I'll never touch one. They do not look like fun. Yeah, that one's being a little stubborn. Okay, just for grins, we'll put a little bit of solder on there. Yeah, look at that ball of solder. It does not want to flow. Okay, we got some movement. Squeak, squeak. That lead just does not want to pick up. Hey, it moved. It's kind of a juicy mess. Sorry, you guys couldn't see what I was doing. Why, that's just a mess. I've seen some people use sponge tips to try to clean this stuff up. And the Q-tips tend to leave cruft, fibers all over the place, so I should probably get some of those. Kind of holding the soldering iron in an awkward position. Messy, messy. There's a shadow there, makes it kind of hard to see. That's not too bad. Okay, finally. So, take a look at the carnage here. Here's all the caps we removed. Yeah, I've got a toothbrush. So I think this calls for a little bit of cleaning. What time is it getting to be? 10:46. Wow, I've been going an hour and 46 minutes on this. I said I was going to take my time. I guess I wasn't kidding. Oh, paper towel. My kingdom for some paper towel. Where did I put it? Oh. So the nerd cave is a little bit of a mess right now. I've got a stack of laptops that I've been trying to resurrect. Trina was going to look for some memory for me for one of them, so I could do that. No hurry, Trina. I've got plenty of time. I've got a year's worth of stuff to go through. So, and it's Macintosh, so I'm going to be messing around more with the classic Macs than the modern ones. Okay, so that cleaned up pretty well. what's going on in the chat? Don't use dental floss. Okay. That makes me wonder if you could use dental floss to decapitate the caps. Maybe if it was embedded with, excuse me, diamond dust, so you could like saw it back and forth. I don't think I'd want the residue of metal from trying to do it that way. Okay. So I'm gonna tin these. Well, the perspective with this microscope just isn't. I've seen Steve use solder braid to do this. So that you don't have a ton of it on there. And it's really just to clean them up, I suppose. Boy, my hands are shaky today. That looks like crud. Like I said, I'm not 100% happy with this flux. It's kind of dirty. Oh, here's my Q-tip. What is that? Oh, I guess that's just some crufty flux. Okay. So let's consult our map. We need the 1U 50 volt. I believe that was this really, really tiny one. So let's yep. All right, so the markings on tantalums are backwards. If I remember correctly, the band indicates the negative side. Oops. Here's our handy little reference. Oh no, the polarity band is the positive side, not the negative. So if we look at the board, positive's there. We look at this, it indicates positive on that side. And the band is the positive side. Let me get my tweezers out here, it'll be easier. And clean the tweezers off, they've got crud on them. Now my technique with this is pretty sloppy. So a little bit of flux. I try to get it so that it's nice and lined up so it looks pretty. The reality is nobody's going to see this, so do I really care? Yeah, I'm a little OCD, so I do want it to line up. And of course, pushing down on it, I slide it around all over the place. Oh, come on, Eric. I'm trying to use the microscope to do this, and it just doesn't give you the perspective you need. You pre-solder to the positive side, leave the negative flat, then heat the positive pad, pushing the cap down. Yeah. Something just fell on my desk. I really need to clean the tip of my soldering iron. Okay, it appears to be in contact. Let me take a closer look. It's been a while since I recapped. Sorry about the jiggle. Let's do this. So that appears to be on. One down, 16 to go. Yeah, I will be finishing the stream here soon. Because I need a break. And there's a lot of caps. Sorry. But one is on. Okay, so C21 is the 10 microfarad 16 volt. it's this long thing with all these tiny little ones in it. Okay. The positive runs in the other direction for this one. Oh, do I want to try that left-handed? No. And of course you can't see what I'm doing. Okay, that one's done. Well, it's 11 o'clock. I've been going 2 hours. I am going to call it. I'm going to take a break, and then I'm going to I'll put the caps on, and I'll do a live stream later booting it to show that it works. So let me get back to my other chair. Oh my gosh. So I am feeling very old this morning. And tired. And my back's starting to hurt from sitting at the bench because I've got this stool that I sit on. It's not really the best height and everything for it, but it's what I'm working with. I should get one of those padded stools with a little back on it. You know, bar stool. So let me grab my mouse and pull this over here so I can see what everybody's talking about. So thank you, Rudy. I don't get a lot of practice in doing this, and I am very slow. I mean, you watch other people do this, they're a lot speedier than I am, but you know what? I'm more about quality than I am time, so that's all good. So it's Macintosh. Big Bad Biologist is up at noon. And then I guess Amber, Tech Ambrosia is not going to be streaming today, but unless Trina was joking, she's going to stream at 2:30, so make sure you check that out. And Retro Techie mentioned that he was streaming at 2:30, so I don't know if they were just playing jokes on each other or if they're not or whatever, but check them out anyway. So make sure you check out MARCHintosh.com, and you know, there's going to be a lot of content this year, and I'm going to stream every Sunday at 9 a.m. As long as I can hold out. So I was up a little too late last night. Should have gone to bed earlier. But anyway, I hope everybody has fun, and I'll see you next time. Thanks a lot for watching me do this very slow dance. Later.